Good evening, readers. This is Jerry Farnham, the Maine's blue collar author, here at you again on another Friday night. I am glad to report that last month's sales were great. I sold a little over 60 books, bringing my grand total of books sold to 230 books. No, 2,130 books as of Thursday morning. And that's 7,870 to get to my goal. Thank you all for all your support. I appreciate it. I looked at trying to do this. We're doing this live again, and I was looking at trying to do it so I could see comments coming in. And I still haven't figured that out yet. I messaged my tech support, Daryl Goodrow. I'm sorry, man. Daryl Goodrow. Let me have a drink, then I'll fix that. I messaged my tech support, Daryl Goodrow, and he's going to look into what type of camera I need to get so I can set up my laptop and do this, so I can see comments coming in and actually have a talk rather than me just talking at you. I will say, to help push that along, like last month, that week, after doing a video author talk, I sold a little over 30 books. So if I sell a little over 50 books after this week, I will seriously think about getting a camera set up and doing this so we can actually have a chat rather than me talking at you. Moving on, I have to apologize. I was going to get a haircut and trim my beard and all that stuff before today, and I completely spaced it. It was a busy week. I had to fix my wife's electric windows in her car. I had to oil change, mow the lawn, and by the time I realized it, I was like, I ain't got no time to do any of that. So you're stuck with me looking like a woolly booger for tonight. I promise by my June video author talk, I will have a trimmed face and hair and all that stuff. Hopefully a new hat too. Moving on. I want to start doing book and author reviews. And I'm going to let you know right now, I'm not doing these to try to get endorsements. I'm doing these from my heart because I either enjoy these books, enjoy these authors. I think you guys and my readers will enjoy them, and that's why. I am not fishing for endorsements. That's not what I'm doing here. It's just passing on interactions I have with other authors or people I read and stuff like that I think you guys would enjoy. So, stepping into that, and we got Memorial Day coming up here soon. The first book I want to mention, and I mentioned it last year, is Send Me. This is the Shannon Kent story. It's a true story of a mother at war. I knew Shannon. I worked with her 3 or 4 times when I was in the military, in the Navy. She was my translator for me. She was Go Navy, die hard, 100% patriot. And it's a great book. I've listened to it. I own it. And if you really want to know what it takes to defend freedom across the world, read that book. Moving on. One of the other authors I really enjoy, and I didn't get a chance to get his books here. He's got 4 books out, and he does daily posts on Facebook. And they are like my second cup of coffee. I look forward to them every morning. Sometimes I comment on them, sometimes I don't. I try not, I worry about commenting because I don't want him to think I'm mooching off of his followers and trying to gain my own. I really like to comment and talk with him. I actually sat next to him at a book signing at Sherman's, and we had a great talk. He's a great person. His posts on Facebook, they have this like Paul Harvey type feel to them. They're not like that. They're not news. But it's just these great stories, and it's just daily observations. So if you're looking for a good book or just a good guy to follow, I tell you, Tim Gotten He's, like I said, I've sat next to him, I've talked with him. He's a good guy. And definitely pick up one of his books. They're sold at Sherman's. Send Me is sold at Sherman's. So there you go. So status, where we're at with the books. I already gave you the sales numbers, and I'm very happy with those. May is turning out to be a really good month. I think when I checked my Ingram Spark account this morning, I was up to 19 books sold this month already. So it's definitely picking up. So the third book, First Light, has gone through my first editor. I've gone over it already, and it's now in the hands of my second editor. And also my sorry, I'm trying to look at the camera, but I also have notes I want to read. I'll get better at this, I promise. My format guy is doing my front cover. I mean, the art's already done, but he's gonna shape it, move it, whatever. And he's doing my back cover as well. I'm going with that childhood picture I showed of me and my dad out hauling traps for my back author picture. It's just that book has that nostalgic feel of childhood and coming of age and stuff. So I think that's the best picture for it. I don't have a release date for it yet. I was really pushing to have it out at the end of June, to be like on the second anniversary of the first book coming out, but it's just not in the cards. I don't want to push it out for the sake of pushing it out. I have a wedding to go to at the end of the month. There's just too much going on. So I'm aiming for July or August. And I'll keep you posted. And that's it. So I read a part of First Light last week, and you guys seem to really like it. I'm gonna read 2 parts this week. And you'll see why I read these parts, or I'll explain it. Let me have another drink before I do this. Again, I'm not the best for reading out loud. It's not something I normally do, but I will do it my best. Alright, so Chapter 5, New Stern Man. Russell could barely hear the engine as his boat went out of sight. It was gone, taken away. He kept looking out Lobster Cove like the boat would disregard the stranger at the helm and come back to its true owner. But it didn't. He took a deep breath to fortify himself and slowly and shakily exhaled. He walked up the ramp to the dockhouse and went inside. His emotions were building up pressure. He went to the old fridge to find no beer in it, then closed the door, almost slamming it shut. He checked his cupboard to find a bottle of Glenfiddich 12 with a couple ounces left in it. He sighed in relief, set the bottle on his bench. There was a mason jar of hog wings just an arm's reach away. He could dump out the hog rings, wipe out the jar, and use it for a glass. As he reached for the jar, he knocked over the bottle. When it hit the floor, it shattered. His eyes stared at the broken bits of glass and the splatter of scotch, then focused on an old oak runner. The 1 inch by 1.5 inch rough-sawn 4-foot piece of oak, which normally would be attached to the bottom of a loft truck, now looked like an outlet to Russell. A weapon against the walls that had closed in on him. A weapon against the misfortune of last summer's fishing season. A weapon against his own ego, trying to be one of the big guys. And taking on too much of a step, only to fall, to fail. He picked up the runner in his strong, callous hands, cocked it back over his shoulder, and much like a baseball player would, He swung it with every bit of strength he had at the refrigerator that didn't have beer for him. It left a dent across the door, but that wasn't enough for Russell. He had crossed his threshold of patience and reserve, and that one swing felt so good. He continued to swing at anything he could find, sending nails and screws and paint cans in multiple directions. Anne stood outside the dockhouse until the storm was over, not only for her safety, but also for Russell's benefit. He needed to do this. He had kept his head up and strong and positive for her and the kids. He needed to fall apart. He did the same thing when his father died, stayed strong for his mother, taking care of everything. Then Anne saw him on the dock, crying to his father that he wasn't ready to let him go. Russell was a strong man, and a good one, but all men fall, and it's the wife's job to help them back up. He had swung away all the anger. He was now sweaty, with his hands were now bloody from the rough wood. He picked up his old favorite stool. The back was now missing, being a victim of his temper. He stood it back up and sat down, placed his hands on the top of the other end of the runner, with the other end on the concrete floor to bear the weight. He rested his head on his hands and stared down at the floor, watching the tears and the sweat drip off his face and mix with the scotch on the cold floor. He knew just what he had done wrong. He had counted his eggs before they hatched, something his father would have warned him about. But the year before last lobstering had been so good, and he had saved so much money, he thought he would be all set. He had beamed with pride at the launching party. He had done it. He was one of the big guys now, with a new boat and traps, and he was thinking about buying a new truck. A fancy new 3/4-ton diesel with a plow, maybe. His wife Anne came down to the boat. Oh, hold on. And sat with him. She told him that she had arranged for a babysitter for the kids. Then opened the companionway door and headed for the forward cabin of the boat. They spent that night on the Lucy J. That would be the only good memory he'd have on that boat. That summer the bluefish were rampant, causing the pogies, menhaden, the lobsterman's prime choice of bait, to form tight schools in which they would suffocate from the lack of oxygen in the water. The dead pogies washed up on the shore, up and down the coast of Maine, killing the tourist season. No tourists meant no demand for lobster, driving the price down. With all the pogies dying, there were a few left for bait, driving up the cost of bait, if there was any bait at all. On top of this, the fish that eventually sank to the bottom kept the lobsters fed. There was no need for them to crawl into traps when there was free food littering the bottom. Russell would have normally had a little financial cushion going into the winter, but the dead summer and break-even fall, he felt his back was against the wall going into winter. He was getting behind on payments, and he was pushing the safety envelope with the weather he was going out in, taking risks on days that he really shouldn't have gone out. He had even sold his precious Chevy Bel Air. But when spring came around, the writing was on the wall. He spoke to the bank and arranged a voluntary repossession for the boat and truck. His thoughts were interrupted by the squeak of the hinges on the dockhouse door, announcing Anne's entrance. Russell picked up his head to see Anne coming into the dockhouse, walking cautiously so not to step onto any wet paint or onto a nail. "You must be ashamed of me. Look what I've done to us," Russell said in a grisly, solemn voice. "Russell Kirkpatrick Finn, I am not ashamed of you yet. It's what you do next that'll make up my mind on that. The Russell Finn I know, the one I married, the one that is the father to my children, and the man I love, will wake up tomorrow and start the next chapter. Russell stared at his wife. How could she not be ashamed? How could she still have faith in him? Didn't she see his failure? She could. She knew he had failed. But she also knew that he wasn't the kind to roll over. She knew he wouldn't quit. And she knew he would take care of his family no matter what. He didn't know what the next chapter would be yet, but he was confident Anne would stand behind him. He stood slowly, using the runner to steady himself, turned towards his wife, and walked towards her. She took his bloody, splintered hands into hers. Let's go patch these up, and I'll talk to Big Tom in the morning and see if they need any help at the restaurant this summer. That way, this won't be all on your shoulders alone, and I won't have to hear, and I don't want to hear a word about it. You can stow the Finn pride. I like that part because it shows the strong will of the Maine lobstermen. You know, the never give up attitude to fight for everything you got. And they do. They really do. I know. And it also shows that strong relationship between Anne and Russell. So I really, you know, it was a tough chapter, right? But I enjoy what it, I like what it, and I'm proud of what it represents. This is further on to that chapter, why I named the chapter The New Stern Man. The next morning, Russell woke his son up softly. Jack got himself dressed and sleepily met his father in the kitchen. Are we going to get my dirt bike, Daddy? No, we're going to get you a work ethic, and you can use that to get your dirt bike. Jack was unsure of what was going on. He was still quite sleepy. He just knew somehow this was leading to a dirt bike. The walk down to the dock had woken him up a bit. Woken him up enough that he was figuring out what was going on. Daddy, are you taking me lobstering with you? Sure am. I'm going to pay you too. I will start you off at $10 a day. If you save your money, you can buy that dirt bike you want at the end of the summer. Russell looked over his shoulder to find a large grin on Jack's face. Jack loved this plan. Not only would he spend time with his dad and go out on the boat every day, he would also earn money and buy his own dirt bike. He decided to run up ahead and start doing whatever he needed to do. Once in the boat, Russell showed him how to put the fish on the bait iron. He explained to Jack it was his job to keep the irons full for the next trap and to keep the area of the boat clean. Or his area of the boat clean. Russell took a spare 5-gallon bucket, turned it upside down for Jack to sit on. He untied the boat and off they went. Jack went to work, stabbing 2 fish in the eyes with the bait iron, and then another 2. So 2 irons were ready to go at all times. Bait irons are nothing more than an oversized needle, 16 inches long and about the same diameter as a pencil, with a tip flattened in with a hole in it for threading the bait line through. There's a simple wooden handle on the other side. Jack was warned to mind the sharp tip and always have it pointed down in the bait tray. I still remember that, Dad. As soon as Russell would put an empty bait iron back, Jack would put 2 more fish on it. Russell could see his son was taking his job very seriously and at the same time was taking in the environment around him. Jack's world had now expanded. He had been out in the boat before, but now he felt like he was part of the ocean. He could smell it, hear it, almost taste it when he drew in a breath. Deep breath. He wasn't just a spectator. He was in the game. He focused on his work first, making sure that the bait irons were not only ready, but positioned in a way that his father could grab them with ease. Soon, he started looking around, And then the curiosity of the new world started nagging at him. He saw other boats, islands, and seagulls. "What you looking at, boy?" his father asked. "Everything, Daddy. There's so much out here to see. There's so much to see out here." "Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Don't you hesitate to ask a question. This is your world, Jack. It belongs to you as much as you belong to it," said Russell, clenching the pipe between his teeth. "Well, where are we, Daddy?" Russell chuckled at the question. It was simple and fair. "We are on what is called the Spruceful Shore, just outside of Lobster Cove. You know Lobster Cove, right?" "Yes, that's where we live." "That's right. We are on the west side of Lincoln Bay, in the general area of Boothbay Harbor, on the Atlantic Ocean." "Wow, the Atlantic Ocean? That's big, isn't it, Daddy?" "Very big, Jack. You see that island way out there?" Russell pointed to an island outside of Lincoln Bay. "That is Squirrel Island. If you go 50 miles or so past that, then turn to the east, you could end up in England, Spain, or Africa." Jack stared out towards Squirrel Island. The world seemed bigger and smaller at the same time. He had seen these places before on a globe at his grandparents' house, but on the small globe, they seemed so far away. Now he realized he was on the same ocean that those distant countries were on. Russell smiled, looking at the wonder on his son's face. What a gift, he thought to himself. That's the first time I've gotten through this without getting choked up. I like that part, especially this time of year, because I remember the anticipation of school, getting out, setting my own traps, and getting back on the boat with my father. And I truly look back at those years. I went Starman with my father from age 6 to 19 when I joined the Navy. And I look back at those years, and that's what I think about, is what a gift. And I will treasure that, and if it wasn't for that time on the water, and not for my time going Starman, I would never gotten an idea for Red at Night and all this. So it certainly is a gift. One of my beta readers has given me one quote so far for the First Light. You know, they've read it and give me quotes for the back. Living in New England seaport, I felt like I knew all the characters in the book. A great story of a lobster fishing family living life in a Maine harbor, with plenty of twists, drama, and unexpected surprises. And that comes from my beta reader, Mark Webster. So thank you, Mark, if you're watching this. So yeah, that's it for what I'm going to read for First Light. If there's any parts of it you want me to read, or if you want me to read some I read in the morning or read at night, please shoot me an email or shoot me a message on this, and I'll be happy to read it. If you have any author questions for me about this journey and the books and what I've got coming on and anything book related or whatnot, shoot them at me. I don't mind to answer them. Now, as I mentioned before, Memorial Day weekend's coming up shortly. Next weekend, I believe. And for those of you that are coming in from out of town, or of those that are actually in town, there's 2 places I highly suggest you go to eat during Memorial Day weekend, or actually anytime. I want to give a shout out to both Brady's and Kaler's. Kaler's is opening for its 27th year, which is amazing. We hear restaurants closing down all the time. And the fact that Kaler's has been open for 27 years, I remember when they first opened. I know the Kaler family. I went to school with Jake. Sam was a big contributor on the pre-purchase for the second book. they had I don't know if they're gonna do it again this year, but they had a drink named after the first book last year. And when I walked into Kaler's after an author talk, Mary recognized me like that. She hadn't seen me in 20 years, if not more. So it's great. It's a great family-run business. Also, Brady's is going to have the Saltwater Hillbilly on the 25th at 2 p.m. And that's another great locally owned business. Ginny Mitchell is one of the best people on this planet. She hosted my release party for the second book. She's offered to host the release party for the third book. She contributed to the pre-purchase. She's had me do author talks there. And what else? I mean, she does all kinds of stuff for the community with the community lunch. And it's all, it's just all for other people. She's great people. And those are two great businesses that really put the community first. And I appreciate that, and I hope to model that with whatever future success I have, is to follow them in their footsteps. So don't forget, I have all these signed books behind me, and they are for sale. I forgot the price. I believe I said $15. I just want to get them off my shelf. They're signed. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text, whatever. I'll send them. We can even work out if you want to buy a bunch of them at once, let me know. I can do that. See, that's it for the books. I've told you guys. Oh, reviews. I definitely, first of all, thanks for the guys for the reviews I've been getting. I appreciate it. I had one reviewer that was just kind of nasty, and you guys stepped forward and really put forth the good, honest reviews on that. I hate people that just write nasty reviews because whatever. It's just terrible. And you can read that review and you can almost tell that it was personal. And that's not the way we do things here in Maine, and definitely not in Booth Bay Harbor. So for those of you that wrote a review after that, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I mean, I can handle getting a 1-star review, and it's going to happen. But let it be constructive. But if you're doing it just because you got a problem with me, then I'm sorry. That's poor form, in my opinion. And I don't want to dwell on that. Thanks for all the 5-star reviews I've gotten, for all the reviews I've gotten. And I appreciate all you guys who've bought my books. The next video author talk will be June 20th. I look forward to it. That'll be coming up to 2 years since I started this, and I have nothing but good thoughts for the future. Thank you to all my readers out there. I appreciate your support. Have a good and safe weekend. Have a good and safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. Oh.